Forged Alaska. I love thinking about like where you came up with this, and I picture you somewhere outside of Anchorage, really cold, and being like, Forged Alaska. Forged Alaska says, I recently watched the test video where you repaired a Savage Industries apron. Yeah, that was really fun. And I realized that you do leather work. What person or project got you interested in leatherworking as a skill to add to your repertoire? The very first project that made me realize, okay, it was a belt. It was a belt. It was fixing it was first, actually, no, it was punching a hole in a belt. I was a kid. I don't remember losing weight, but I don't think that's what happened. But I put on a belt that was too big for me, and someone showed me that there was that awl on a Swiss Army knife, and you could use it to make a hole in the leather. And it's hard to overestimate how much making a hole in something is remarkable to a kid. Seriously, I remember when we first got to shop class. Do high schools still have shop classes? They probably don't. But in my shop class, in seventh grade, so we are 12 years old. They're letting us use drill presses. And I remember someone took a quarter and drilled a hole through the quarter, and we were all like, ah! Our heads were exploding. We didn't know you could drill holes through quarters. But eventually, for a costume, I took a piece of leather and I cut it down to make a belt, because I realized that leather was just cut with scissors or, more precise cutting tools and hole punched. And yeah, I could sort of see the moment I punched a hole in leather with an awl, I understood that that leather work is one of those skills where the threshold to entry is low, but the level of skill you can learn and demonstrate is incredibly high. So some things like playing the piano have a high threshold to entry to get like something useful out of the practice of playing the piano. And I'm a fan of those crafts or those skills with a much lower threshold to entry, because, I talked about bookbinding as one of these, right? Like, bookbinding can be as deep as you want it to go, or you can grab a stapler and make a little zine, and the world has greatly benefited from zines. All right, that's an important cultural moment, and so I've always really liked leatherwork as a way of like. Again, one of those skills with a low threshold to entry and a high reward for what you are making. Leatherwork rewards patience. It rewards being meticulous. It's a marvelous crafting skill. And again, the threshold to entry can be incredibly low. You can go to the thrift store and buy a crappy leather jacket for your supplies. Actually, that's a way. That's actually the first time I made the Indiana Jones Grail diary. The covers were an old, worn-out brown leather jacket, because I was like, I'm never going to find a better worn-out leather than the worn-out leather of a brown leather jacket. Just tried to make it. Says, what do you do when your customer tells you that you need to get their project done in 2 weeks instead of the 4 weeks you agreed to? I having a freak out. Yeah, I'll bet you're having a freak out. Okay. Just trying to make it. Such a good username. The client, you bid a job that is a 4-week job, and now the client says they want it in 2 weeks. I'm assuming it's all starting right about now. So it's not like you've put in a week of work and now they want it done in 3 weeks. They want it done in 2 weeks. So they want it done in half the time. The bog standard rush fee is 100% added on. So that's a standard rush fee is just double. But let's talk about your freak out. The first question, and the most important one, is it even possible? Is it even possible to take this 4-week build and do it in 2 weeks? If it's not, then you can stop freaking out And you can just explain to your client exactly how long it will take, and that's how long it will take. That's just like, no one likes getting bad news, but if the only thing you can give is bad news, then give it quickly. So let's just say it is possible to complete this 4-week job in 2 weeks, but it requires a lot of extra people. Okay, well, first of all, let's back up a second. Let's make sure that the client isn't telling you, oh, I always only said 2 weeks, because that also happens. Let's just assume that the client has said, that thing that was going to take 4 weeks, I now need it to happen in 2. Because someone coming to you to say that may tell you they don't have more money, but they will find it when they need it. And there's only so much you can do. You are under the moment they change the parameters, I want to tell you, you're under no responsibility to do an impossible thing for them. The questions for you is, how can you make what they want possible? For some clients, the rush is the rush, and money is not an issue. I, at one point, did a job where I knew that they had gotten several other people to bid on it, and they only had 6 days left. And I also knew that they weren't going to really probably find anyone after they were talking to me. And so I doubled the fee, and I looked at it, and I was like, that's still not enough. And I added another 30% because I just knew the market at that point. I'm like, this is the number they're expecting for something like this. So let us assume it is possible. Let us assume that the client is aware that they're changing the parameters on you. Then your job is to figure out how many people you need to hire, how much materials you need, what kind of delivery fees you're going to encounter. All the driving and your time matters. Maybe you need an assistant to help you run the logistics of this. All of those expenses, put them on a list and add them up, in addition to your double the fee, and that's where you start talking to the client about money. Like, that's the bare minimum. And you also still need to make a profit. So, you're going to tack 10% on. And again, you might say, look, I need to spend and move heaven and earth to get this done in 2 weeks. And there's contingencies I don't even know about. All of those are reasonable things to say to a client. If the client is changing the parameters, you don't have to freak out unless you somehow are conscripted into delivering this in half the time without compensation. And again, for a 4-week job that has to be delivered in 2 weeks, companies spend ungodly sums of money on things like this. God, we have visited where Fortune 5 companies have set up, spent $100,000 for like a set that's going to be used for an interview for a few hours. Yeah, there's money gets spent when it needs to get spent. Do not feel bad about charging what it takes to get their job done. Don't let anyone make you feel bad about charging what it takes to get a job done. Yeah. I'm just trying to make it. Will you pipe in next week and tell me, or in a couple of weeks and tell me how this job went? I'm fascinated, and I'm pissed off at your client. That's a tricky one, man. Clients change things all the time. I remember Jamie once spent months and months and months making a set of trophies for this guy who was a friend of his for this thing that they were doing. And when the job was finished and Jamie submitted the final bill, which included California tax, because that's something you charge, it's something you as a business owner get charged, so you better charge your customers. And that client, a friend of Jamie's, was like, oh, I don't remember the tax, so I'm just not going to pay it. And it's like, so you're just screwing your friend out of dough? Yeah. Just trying to make it good luck, man. I really hope that works out for you. Thank you for watching. I wanted to talk to you about Tested membership. The Tested members are a key community that we find really, really remarkable. That's very separate from Tested and from YouTube. The Tested members, they buy each other memberships during our live streams. So if you're wondering whether to become a member, watch one of our live streams and someone may just give you one. It is hard to overestimate how much the Tested members actually make possible on this channel. They give us a lot of wiggle room. They give us a huge amount of feedback.
That's a member right now.
Thank you so much for enjoying your membership. Description for everything you need to know. And for all the members out there, thank you, thank you, thank you.